back to another episode of I Am Negan, a TWD Universe podcast. My name is Adam Vale. I'm a senior editor over at the Koalition. That's with a K, Koalition.com. And I'm joined by editor-in-chief of the Koalition, Richard Bailey Jr.
What's up, Adam? What's up, listeners and viewers?
And the Throwdown show over on Twitch, Carlos Romero.
Yo, what's going on?
What's going on is that we are back. This is for The Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon, Season 1, Episode 4. Translation, because I will butcher it in French, it's The Iron Lady. Oh, boy. Housekeeping, thanks again, people, for all the support over on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, of course, leaving comments and just following and just keeping up to date with all the Walking Dead content, because that's what we cover here. So if you're interested, this is what we do. We have a back catalog that goes back years covering all kinds of stuff Walking Dead. So thanks again for all of that. If you haven't seen this episode, we will be discussing the full episode and spoiling it for you if you haven't seen it. Hopefully you have, because it's really a discussion. We have thoughts, a lot of thoughts about this show, especially this episode in particular. So that's just a warning. If you want to see it, you can go see it now on AMC Plus, or if you've already watched it, AMC proper on your cable provider. So with that out of the way, here we go. All right, 3, 2, 1. This was underwhelming. Like something that we knew eventually it was going to get to some point where it was a side quest, and this was that side quest. The whole rescue of what was going on with Daryl, but then rescue for Laurent, because I knew once he went running off and Isabelle was like, where did he go? I was like, all right, this is where we're headed down. How long? We don't know. It could have lasted till the end of the season, but as we just saw, it only lasted not even the full episode because he was rescued. So before I go any further, what did you guys think of the beginning? Because we discussed this while we're watching, and let's just bring it up in front of the community here. So if you guys watched this, you saw that at first it looks like Daryl fell into, well, from the last episode, he falls through a roof, and it starts off, he has his flashlight, he's in a tunnel. Already that's throwing me off, because that doesn't make sense. Where'd he get the flashlight? Maybe he fell in a hole into whatever, but still, flashlight, I don't recall him having that. Maybe in his back, whatever. Anyway, see a bunch of walkers. He's behind a gate. Then we see Laurent walking out there, and he's like, oh no, he's screaming, trying to lure the walkers away. They're walking closer. Laurent prays, and they walk away. And Daryl is stunned. And then quickly it cuts to him opening up his eyes. He's immersed in water. So this is where the discussion will come up for this part is, I personally think that was some kind of dream. He fell through the roof of last episode into water. Maybe the drop was a severe drop that knocked him out on impact. Once he wakes up, yes, he's underwater. There's some walkers at the bottom. He takes out his knife. He stabs. I think it looked like he got bit in the leg, but he doesn't mention it at all throughout this episode, so I guess we didn't see it, or maybe he's covering it up. I don't know. Maybe it'll come to play later, and we don't know. But right off the bat, right there, what did you guys think of it? That's my thing. It was a dream, and he got bit. Rich?
I was very confused with that scene. I don't know what to think about it. I guess that this is a bit of a preview as to them giving us more details in the remaining episodes about what Laurent's special ability actually is. But I was very confused with how they did that to start off the episode, because we already saw Daryl fall through the roof. So I figured maybe he blacked out, and then that's when he had that thought of being in that situation where he saw Laurent praying, and then he woke up. But I have no idea how they wanted us to interpret that scene.
What about you, Carlos?
Yeah, I'm in the same page that you guys are. If I have to guess, I'm thinking it's more of like a dream sequence where Daryl is seeing, it's like, so what's so special about this kid? And it's like, we keep asking ourselves, what's so special about the kid? Like, is it just that he was born from a mother that turned? Is it just that? And it probably is. It probably just is that. And then it's, Daryl's just thinking, oh, I'm looking for this kid. This kid's special somehow. I don't have no clue what makes him special. So here's, a scene that's pretty ambiguous about, how special he is, kind of like a religious figure, maybe a saint or a Christ-like figure in a way. They try to portray him in that scene. But yeah, at first I thought it was real. I was like, oh, so we're finally get to see, maybe it's just a special power he has or something that he knows. But no, it was a dream sequence. It never happened. Daryl dropped down, went into that river, and yeah, like Adam mentioned, I saw him get bit in the ankle. So I thought, what? So is this going to be part? Like, we're going to try to figure out what's going to happen to Daryl now? Never got mentioned again. Maybe he didn't get bit. I don't know. I would need to rewatch that scene to make sure. But as far as I'm concerned, he got bit in the ankle, and it just got swept under the rug. But yeah, as far as how to make sense of everything, that's the best I can do to compartmentalize what that all meant.
Yeah, it's confusing because this is from Daryl's perspective. He doesn't know, like we all of us don't know what makes his kid special. It's the priest that told other religious figures that, hey, this is a chosen one, and they're all taking the priest's word for it, and that's the one that's locked in the closet back at the monastery over there. So we don't know. And for Daryl to have this dream / vision or whatever you want to call it, it throws me off, because then it's like, well, is this what in Daryl's mind, what he's thinking, that if this kid prays, walkers won't attack him? You know what I mean? It's like you're filling in the blank. If I tell you, it's like, oh, that guy is magical, but you don't see any magic or the guy doing any magic, you go to sleep. Your mind will fill in the blanks. Maybe he levitates like Chris Angel or something. I don't, you know what I mean? Like, you fill in the blanks. So, and what I'm saying is, when Daryl knocked out, then he filled in the blank of what makes this kid special, and that he could pray walkers away. That's what I got from it. I was like, all right, well, that's interesting. But the next big part of this scene is once he gets out, he's completely dry. He's dry and clean. That's the other thing. His trench should be dirty, muddy. I mean, you just went into dirt water with zombie guts and blood. I don't know. I know I've brought this up so many times on other Walking Dead. It's like I want to see the grittiness of just dirt. I forgot what movie it was. But there was an actor, and I remember back when people would watch DVDs, I was one of them, where you could watch the extras. And there was this one actor talking about, before every scene, I'm blanking on this movie now, but he said he would take his hands and rub them in the dirt. And people were like, why are you doing that? I said, well, my guy is supposed to be out in like the wild, dirty. And yeah, you did my clothes and everything, but the first thing that someone would look at would be my hands. And if they see my hands perfectly clean, my clothes dirty, then clearly that disconnect is there. I want to go with it. And that's my issue here. I'm seeing the disconnect. He was just in the water. He's dirty. He killed walkers next to me. He comes out and he's fine. His clothes is dry. He's clean. His hair is nice and neat. I was like, oh, too much. Sorry for dwelling on that, but that bothered me. But we do see that he's walking in the streets, and we got the pigeon guy. Pigeon guy makes a cameo. And he's on his bike, and he's got a little pigeon coop with him. Daryl tries to get him off the road. He was like, come on, we got to go. There's a truck coming down. So he parks the bike over. They run into the alley. It's like, I don't know about you guys, but I knew instantly something bad was going to happen. Mm-hmm. I was like, this is it. They're going to start knocking off characters. We're in episode 4. This is 6 parts. Someone of semi-relevance has to go, right? Here we go. 2 soldiers and the vehicle show up. They see the bike with the pigeons. Oh, let's take this. Pigeon guy gets a panic attack, says, no, he runs out, my pigeon, my bike, please. And then they just, they shoot him. Daryl, with the quickness, takes out his knife, just throws it, right? It's like and kills one dude, and the other dude tries to get out the car, and he puts him down quick. But it's a little bit too late. Pigeon guy got shot. He's bleeding. He's not going to make it. Dying request, let me free the pigeons. Let me free the pigeons. Now, this is what I was thinking. Again, this is my mind with all this. These pigeons are trained to come back, right? So let's say if he frees them, pigeons, obviously we saw them fly off. What's stopping them from eventually a week or two, a month, whatever, because he said it takes time, come back to the body that's on the ground. And then at that point, he would be a walker and might eat them. I don't know. That was one of the things that popped up in my head. But it was definitely an interesting scene. It went on pretty long. At least for me, I felt it went on pretty long. And I guess they were trying to really throw that emotion there. But we didn't spend a lot of time with the pigeon guy. There was no connection. It wasn't like he was part of the group. He's not. We saw him in that one scene over at that little sanctuary area. And then we saw him here. So, okay, whatever. He's done. So am I alone on that, Carlos? Did you feel anything? Because that's what they were going for. Did you feel, oh no, pigeon guy?
Well, you always feel bad when the pigeon person, something happens to the pigeon person. I mean, Home Alone 2, I think of the pigeon lady from Central Park. Hey Arnold, I think of the pigeon guy that flies with pigeons. So he's the natural descendant of the pigeon family, and you always feel for the people.
Rich,
well, I didn't feel
a little bit, just a little.
I didn't feel anything at all because, like you said, the minute that he interrupted, he decided to address those guys when they took the pigeons. It game over right then and there. So I didn't feel anything. It's very predictable that was going to happen. But yeah, we'll give him a moment of silence, of course, as Carlos said.
Well, at least Daryl got his info from what he wanted. Because his whole thing was like, I need to go to this address, and it turns out that's the address where Isabelle's apartment is. And I don't recall, maybe I should have watched the ending of the last episode, if that's where they agreed to meet, if they got separated. But he pretty much knew she'd be there, and sure enough, she was there. So that he doesn't bring up, that I remember, he did that, oh, the pigeon dude just died. No, it didn't matter. But he knew that what he had to do. He had to go in and try to rescue this boy, because that's what their whole thing. They're like, all right, we gotta go find this boy. But real quick, we'll just jump to the other key part of this is with Quinn, right? Because we see that the relationship with Quinn and his girlfriend, she has plans of her own. Like this is at first when I saw her on stage and that whole thing, and then she gave the little Eiffel Tower necklace to Laurent, that maybe she was going to be the one to help Laurent later on. She was going to play a bigger part. She does play a bigger part, and we'll get to it. But I think there's more to her story than what we're seeing here, and it clearly gets there with what's going on with Quinn. But the reason why I bring this up is because the major part out of this is that when Isabelle's like, hey, all right, well, we got to find Laurent. I don't know where he is. Now, Daryl has an idea where Laurent is, and it's because he kept talking about the Eiffel Tower, and then clearly Laurent was wearing the chain that Quinn's girlfriend, the singer, she gave him. So they put that together, and sure enough, he's there. Beautiful scene, Eiffel Tower. It's making all this crazy noise. I forgot why they said. I'm pretty sure they brought up why it's making those sounds. Maybe there was a bombing or something. There's something. I'm sorry. People in the comment, if you remember the reasoning why it makes
maybe it was swaying.
Yeah, something happened. But that's what I'm saying. It's like, what if it's just a zombie outbreak? Okay, fine. How does that impact the Eiffel Tower? Unless there was some kind of bombing or something that damaged the structure. That's what I'm thinking. But when you see Laurent walking around, I don't see the damage. We don't see it like leaning or things, parts broken off. But anyway, what we do see is a whole bunch of walkers at the base. So it looks like a bunch of people tried to build up a barrier around it and make that a safe haven underneath. Pretty cool scene. Not logical. I wouldn't do that because there's no real shelter, right? You're still out there to the elements over time. But whatever, we see it. And he hears some noises. We know what's going to come from this, right? He peeks through. There's a walker. They react like, oh, fresh food, yeah. And they push down that barrier. Now there's a bunch of walkers running out. And I'm going to get you guys insight on this one because, again, this is the discussion. This sort of threw me off because we've seen on all the other Walking Deads, whenever there's a big herd of these walkers, you get a few of them down and then you just haul it, right? They go running. But that's not the case here because LeRon just stands there waiting for them as they walk slowly toward him. Remember, they're still not running, and I'm upset. We're episode 4, no runners for these walkers. Right? I know. And sure enough, Daryl shows up, and he's there with Isabelle. Now, I'm trying to remember because I don't think I wrote this down, but no, this was not the part. Yeah, all right, that's right. All right, so he shows up, but the reason why I'm trying to find this up because where did he pick up the mace? I didn't put that in my notes. Remember, he picked up the mace, the weapon.
It was from the people that killed the pigeon guy.
The people that killed, that was it. I was wondering. I was like, why didn't? Because they had a gun. He didn't take the gun.
Not that we can see.
Yeah, but he picks this up. That's right. It was that real quick scene where it's a low shot, and then you just see the hand bend down and pick up the mace, chain mace, which is really cool. All right, he's using it. He's whipping it around. Really cool scenes, whacking them on the head. Isabelle stabbing walkers in the head, Maggie style. And at no point do I hear Daryl saying, "Hey, we gotta run." No. And then during this whole combat scene, LeRon hides under some debris. Kind of odd to do that, especially when you see Isabelle. It's not like he went running from the walkers, hid, and then Daryl and Isabelle show up and they're looking around. You know what I mean? That's not what happened here. We see LeRon, he sees Isabelle and Daryl, and then decided to take cover, but he was still in the fight, in the fray there. He didn't run. It was a little jarring because it didn't make sense, but we knew what was going to happen. Sure enough, one of the walkers does a little peekaboo. I see you under there. Daryl takes him out. They have their whole little fight with all the other walkers, but still, there's too many. They do a nice little far shot. You can see there's a bunch of them. Car shows up. Some dudes run out, grab LeRon, start dragging him. Isabelle notifies Daryl. Daryl goes running over, fights, grabs one, kills one. But then car still takes off with LeRon. All right, this is it. What did you guys think of this fight? What did you think of this reasoning? Like, I feel like I just overthink so much, but it's from all the years of watching Walking Dead and watching Daryl, and especially with Carol and their strategies. Remember, when there's a lot of walkers, do you stand and fight? No, you do not, right? You may kill a few, but then you stay quiet. The other one makes noise, right? Lures them away while the rest escape, whether you're trying to get the injured out of battle, that sort of situation. We don't see that. We see Daryl and Isabelle trying to take on, I don't know how many. Let's just throw 50, 60 walkers out there like nothing. Rich, what's going on here?
I think the explanation is Daryl is in a foreign land, so I guess certain aspects about the character do not remain the same.
He's playing by FIBA rules.
Yeah, that's possibly what it is. But I will say this. I have an issue with the Laurent character, just standing there. I mean, this kid has seen the walkers. He's seen them. This wasn't the first time he saw a whole bunch of walkers in this show. So you can't just stand there and just try to stay still or whatever. So I was a little like, come on now, you got to do better than that. But I don't know. I mean, I was confused for sure.
I thought before I went Carlos Stone on this, but this is another part that during that whole thing going on, I was like, oh, this is when he's going to use his powers. Maybe he is going to pray while he's under there, and all of a sudden they were going to stop, or something like that was going to happen, and then Daryl's going to see this kid's abilities. It's like, oh, this is it. This is the moment.
That would have been a great time to do it. I guess they will save that moment for the season finale. But, when we think about it a little bit more, the only reason they have that scene in there of him getting underneath that is so that we can get the shot of the walker now looking underneath there trying to grab him. That's why I think they did that, to try to make you be fearful for the audience.
Yeah, and that scene, out of all the scenes in this part here, made the most sense because it's not
Yeah.
about visuals for the walkers; it's smell. They can smell you. That's the whole reason why they would cover themselves in walker guts, so they could smell something fresh that's near them. So that made perfect sense. That made perfect sense. But go ahead, Carlos. Your part on this. What did you think?
I'm in line with you guys. I feel like uh, it just seemed like the whole capturing was a little bit sloppy. Um, just to set up and the way he got picked up and all of that. It felt really. It's something that happens a lot in Fear, at least in the more recent seasons of Fear, is like the whole feels like a TV soap opera type of daytime TV way to cause or make a scene. And I feel like that was this because the kid was peeping into the crevice of those sandbags. We knew what it was on the other side. We could
He
tell right
knew.
away.
He could hear them. He knew.
And then and then somehow it looks like these walkers have been there for decades, or for a decade at least, just chilling under the Eiffel Tower. And then today is the day that it goes all down. But obviously that they had to do something. They got to have something. And but yeah, just kind of underwhelmed with that scene. Just we knew that Laurent needed to be taken for suspense. I just felt like this was kind of a sloppy way to do it.
Yeah, and then they don't leave too much to think about because we do get a scene later on where the girl, the dancer or singer, the cabaret singer that's dating Quinn, she says, "Well, I gave him the Eiffel Tower, and that's a little chain, and that's what helped you go find." Because when Laurent is back at the base with Quinn. Quinn's like, "Oh, you know who I am?" And then, of course, he's like, "Yeah, you know my aunt, you knew my mom, and oh yeah, and you're my dad." It's like, well, I figured it out. Whatever, but still, his reaction to the whole thing, he doesn't go deeper into it. It's like, are you going to train me, or am I going to stay with you? These are questions I think we would ask if we just met our father, right? But that doesn't come up. But we know Quinn's goal is to save this kid because it is his flesh and blood. And for some reason, and this comes up later with his girlfriend, it really isn't about the boy. It's about Isabelle and Quinn wanting to get Isabelle back. There was a scene, and it really bothered me, where you see him writing stuff down and looking over to the right and then writing stuff down. It's distracting because we don't know what he's writing. What does he care about? What's going on? Because you have this girlfriend talking to him. You have one of his soldiers out there talking to him. This is when they were trying to figure out where to go to find this kid and do all this stuff. I'm assuming, this is me filling in the blank, that what he was writing was a letter to that soldier lady that's part of that whole little other group, military group, to come over because he wanted to make a deal. That's me filling in the blank. I don't know what the hell he was writing. I doubt if he was doing inventory for his club at that point. It's like, we need 4 cases of beer and whiskey. I don't know. It was very weird for that scene. But at least we get more insight on his agenda. But it doesn't make much sense because I would think, well, you got your son. Focus on that. But it looks like there's more to it. So before I go any further, does that make sense to you? Like, because I might as well just put this in the same scene because we get a moment where the lady that's in charge of that rebel group, she shows up there and she's got her, her right hand, the big bad that we saw before, who's hunting Daryl down. And Quentin makes the deal. It's like, hey, listen, I'll give you Daryl, the American. Like, you have no, I know I'm gonna get him. But I'll give you that guy and you give me some art, right? Because he passed on all these other items and was like, no, he wants art. And they're like, what about the boy? It's like, I don't know. I'll keep finding him. Don't worry about him. It's the American you want, right? So I'll focus on that. I don't know. That didn't really do much for me. But Carlos, what did you think of all of that? Does this story of the military group working with him. I thought he was just in control of a club, but it turns out there's more to it than that. He is got his own crew of people, because as you saw, we had his own henchmen go out and find Laurent, and I don't know. I feel like there's a lot that they're leaving out.
Yeah, I don't really understand why they're this group where the lady and the dude with the tattoo in his face. I don't understand why they're sort of sitting in the sidelines if this is so important to them. It's like, oh yeah, you get Daryl. We made this whole ordeal to go to the place where they were based off of, and the club and the rest of Paris. And now it's like, oh, all right, Quinn, you do it, because it serves the narrative for Quinn and his relationship tension with Isabelle and her past and stuff like that. And I wasn't too big of a fan of that.
Rich?
Yeah, Carlos, you hit it on the head. It's very inconsistent with the character, because up until this point, this guy with the tattoo on his face, obviously he has a vendetta of wanting to get rid of Daryl. I mean, Daryl killed his brother, right? So
I
understand.
Killed his brother.
Oh, he thinks, yeah.
Because remember, we know that it was the girl that did it.
The other girl. Yeah, exactly. No, you're right about that. But the problem is that it's very inconsistent. I understand they're trying to say, well, this is Quinn's territory, so we're not going to interfere. But this guy is obviously obsessed with taking out Daryl, so he should still defy those odds and be going after him as well. That's why I was surprised so many times when you see Daryl just casually walking down the street with Isabelle, and there's no other people after them on the roads. That's just completely ridiculous. Doesn't make any kind of sense. But yeah, I didn't like that. It seems very inconsistent with how the characters were in the previous episode. I'm talking about the bad people, that guy. So I don't like how they handled that at all.
Yeah.
Because
go ahead.
Quinn, they're setting up Quinn and the singer lady to be more of like gray characters, and the face tattoo dude and the other chick as being more of the overall villains. But I don't like that how it was introduced. The dude, the face tattoo guy, came all the way from the south of France for vengeance, and now he's all like, all right, you get the job done. It just seems kind of inconsistent.
And the other point that I will add real quickly is that obviously I feel as though it's only a matter of time. We know that Quinn lied about the fact that he had Laurent at that time. Right. And he was telling them, oh yeah, I'll look for somebody else. So I don't like how they didn't really address that when we get into the end of the episode, how there wasn't no conversation about where's my son. I mean, obviously he knows that Daryl took him, right? But then you see that Isabelle returns, but I just kind of feel like it wasn't really. He didn't have any other reaction after Daryl knocked him out. So that's
here's a big question: why does Quinn even reach out? They already went to the club, right? The big bad. Don't have him here. The guy ran off. They know that he's part of that other community, because we got that other. I didn't bring it up because it was almost pointless. That other scene back at the compound that they took over. Remember for the religious group, the crying babies there. And they're like, oh, talk to me. Tell me what you know. Blah, 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 blah. He's the chosen. We're going to go follow him. And there's a crying baby. The woman grabs the baby and then eventually calms the baby down. All right, whatever. But the whole point is that's where we know the community. That's why is Quinn involved is my point. There was no need. There was no need for him to say, all right, we're going to make a deal. Well, for what? You're not on the radar. They didn't say
exactly
he's harboring that American and the child. No, because they don't know that he's the boy's father. They don't know anything of a connection between Daryl and Quinn. So why it was pointless for him to say, well, I'll make a deal with you. They weren't gonna destroy your business if you did it. You know what I mean? It's like, why are you reaching out? It didn't make sense, but we'll move on. The next major scene is with the guy that they captured. from the group that was trying to kidnap LeBron. They tie him to a chair, and Isabel's they're trying to torture him a little bit, but sort of like her approach is more like sweat it out. It's like, hey, do you want to confess anything? I used to be I'm a nun, but the guy's not buying it because he's like, I know who you were before all this. Everybody seems to know who she was before all this, and they're still alive. These are very resilient people. So that there's a lot of back and forth going on, but the best is when Daryl jumps in because he's like, I'm done with it. I don't know what's going on because she's not translating. He keeps saying the guy that's tied up. It's like, tell him. He doesn't get it. She doesn't want to tell him. So he's like, all right, forget it. And he just starts punching him in the face, takes out a knife, starts stabbing him, tells him this crazy story about this little boy that got picked on and had a little pig. His dad was a drunk. And then eventually his dad was like, we're going to have to, eat this pig. And he started cutting it and he was squealing all night. And he's like, that's what you're going to be. You'll be squealing all night. Eventually, just to get info of not just what they know who has the kid. They know Quinn, but where? No surprise where. We know where. It's back at the damn club, right? The whole thing is back. But he was like, you can't go through the front. He's like, is there another way? No, I'm not telling you. She starts stabbing him, doing the whole thing. He's like, oh, okay, I'll tell you. But the whole part that doesn't really make much sense. And you'll jump in. The whole part that doesn't make much sense is that he stabbed him a bunch of times. He's crying, he's screaming, just like Daryl said in the story, squealing. But then you tell Isabelle that, all right, we're gonna bring him along. Why? Because we're not gonna take his word for a map. We're gonna have him guide us. But he's bleeding all over. He's going to be squealing and causing all this commotion. Walkers are going to flock to where you are. That made no sense. Go ahead, Rich.
I agree 100%, and I don't think that the torture scene was 100% necessary because, as you said, they already knew where Laurent was at. The only part was important is that they needed to know how to get back to, because of course they couldn't go right through the front door. So that part makes sense, but they knew they knew exactly where he was at. So I didn't really understand how why they went to those lengths to get an answer, and then of course. All it was just to show you that Daryl is a badass, and obviously,
that was it. And the story.
That's it. Yeah,
the big
that's
story.
all.
The big story. Yeah. Carlos, you got anything to say about this? Yeah.
I'm just disappointed that there wasn't a Three Little Piggies reference in all this.
How do I blow his house down? I need to get it.
But I like that scene. I like that. It was like Daryl showing sort of his sort of the not interrogation skills with some comedic relief. Mm-hmm. So I appreciated that. And what I didn't hear when I was watching is what did he say about Isabelle that was like so damning? I didn't get that.
He just knows her past and the type of person she was. And if anything, this was a big part for me with Isabelle because the whole time he's stabbing and doing it, she's quiet. She's just watching. You would think as a nun, no, stop, no violence, no, let's talk this out. He's hurt. You punch him a bunch of times. No, she just lets him do his thing. And I was like, wow, all right, well, this is that other side of her. I see that detachment from how she was living life as a nun to just not going back to her old ways, but just going back to just being a person that's not so by the book religious. And we saw that later on with her partner who's over here, kissing the other dude and all that stuff. So things are changing. And she's going along with this. So that was a big takeaway for me. And then even afterwards, when they walk out, she was like, that little boy in the story, that was you. That I made all that up. I was like, I don't know. I was just talking crap. So that was funny because we know it's a made up story because he had his brother, we know with his brother. So, oh man, I don't know. The only big takeaway besides that, it was kind of comical. The whole thing was just Isabelle's lack of a reaction of the torture. Like she was cool with it. Whatever. Like even her facial expression, it never changed. She just like, just watching like, oh, she was like, oh my Lord, what is he doing? Oh, I can't. No, it was more like, why do we have to bring him? He's like, oh, a mess now. Well, this is going to be our map. But we'll move on. So we get to the part now where it's the rebellion, right? We're gonna say is the older dude with the beard and all that, and his little henchman, the other nun with her new boyfriend, throw some quotes from boyfriend. They've been hanging them around a lot, and so their plan is, right, this is what's gonna happen. You guys are going to go in front. We know how to get in. So you're going to go through the front, cause diversion, and then we're going to go through like a sewer system, right? Or a train, or it's hard to tell exactly what the location, but it was definitely a tunnel. Wouldn't say it was too much of a sewer because I didn't see any like stuff on the ground there, but it was definitely a tunnel in the back, and that this was going to be the way to go to get in from the back to get to this club area. Which I'm assuming now that I keep thinking about it, because we saw that they went through the catacomb to get there, but this is more connected to an underground subway station. And that's where this club is, because then when there's that whole fight going on with the rebellion group, it looks like it's a subway station, right? Like they're fighting across subway tracks or whatever. But anyway, that's the plan. They said, hey, we're going to get this. We're going to go and save this kid. This is the plan. So the next big scene for this is that fight. Now, well, there's one little part, and Rich, you called it. Well, we all sort of called it, where Isabelle is having that conversation with the other nun. They're going on their own little walk because now it's just Daryl and his tied up roadmap dude that's making all the noise. And they're having a little one-on-one talking about the guy, and how do you feel about Daryl? Oh, how do you feel about this guy? Oh, I like, he did that. It's like, all right, well, that's it. That giveaway. We know Daryl's not going to die, but your boyfriend over here, he's on a suicide mission. We always have to do that, right? They always have to do like put this love interest, a nice couple, and then something horrible happens to one of them. It was either going to be her. I was waiting for like an arrow, something to just go right through her. You're like, oh no. That didn't happen, but we'll just start talking about this battle because it's kind of funny. So they're fighting the rebellion group, and this dude has an endless supply of Molotovs, and he's just chucking them. And there's shooting, and there's fire, and it was a pretty cool scene. But sure enough, the second nun's boyfriend, he gets shot in the leg, right? He goes down, like, oh no, like, oh, we got to keep him alive. But there was a whole bunch of fighting going on there. Before we go any further, what did you guys think of that? Because that was a big action scene. Yeah, we could say the war, but no, this was it. There was a lot of gunfight. There was a lot of fire. You enjoyed it, Rich?
I don't necessarily think that was the best strategy that they put together. Obviously, the whole point of when you shoot somebody is to try to hit them. So they didn't hit some of them shots. Some people got hit. They definitely got burned, but you would think it would be easier to follow up with a shot after you burn somebody, but they had some trouble with that. So, but what they did was that was meant to be a distraction. So they served their part, because again, there was no one else available the entire time when all this was happening. There wasn't nobody on the streets watching to see Daryl get away with Laurent, nothing. So they had all the people's attention right then and there. So they served their purpose.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, and just to mention, there is an escape plan. We get introduced to a new character who has a boat, and he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna take you out once you get the boy, and poof, we're out of here." So at the other end, though, we get Daryl and his walking map there, and sure enough, like we mentioned, he's making all this noise and stuff, and there are some walkers down there in the tunnel. And he goes fluent in English at this point. Oh, help me, I got to do this. They forget about the whole. And I was waiting for Daryl to say, "Oh, now you speak English." No, it didn't happen. But he's like, "No, whatever." He leaves him there, and then they chow down on him, and he makes it in. And we see him at the club, and he's walking around sneaking, this whole thing. And then poof, he shows up. Me and with the poof. Go ahead and say, Carlos. Poof. I don't know. That's my word of the month. Poof. Poof. Because it is. It's like 1 minute he's in one room, next minute, poof, he's there, right next to the door. But to their point, he has been to that office before. Remember, last episode, conversation took place in the office. So they have this other conversation there. He sees that it's just the girl, the cabaret girl with the boy. Boy already had told the girl that he sees some good in her and all that jazz. And she has a soft spot for him, I guess. But for her own motives, I think it's more of she wants Quinn's full attention. And if this kid's around, she's not going to get it. So once Daryl comes in, he's like, all right, give me the boy. The boy gets up, and then she pulls a gun, which made no sense. Because she wasn't going to shoot Daryl, and she wasn't going to shoot the boy. And then she's like, go, be happy. Go, leave, get out of here. So I was like, well, what is up with that? Like, what are you doing?
I guess she pulled out the gun because she felt like she should, because technically that was her job. But then she thought, oh, if I keep the boy, then it just makes things worse for me, because homegirl Isabel's is gonna show up. Yeah. But plot twist, she still shows up.
Yeah, and then that's the other thing. There was one little scene where the girlfriend was talking to Quinn. It was like, "Oh, a woman will never come back." This and that. And I'm like, "So why? Why does he want her back? I don't get that. He's got his son. What? She left. This is over 10 years now that have passed. It doesn't make any sense. I don't get that part. But whatever. Daryl gets the boy. They leave. Well, as they're trying to leave, they end up on a catwalk. Another catwalk. We saw one of these fights in Dead City, and here we go. Now we got a catwalk, and it's Quinn on one end, Daryl and LeRon on the other. Daryl tells LeRon, take cover. He runs out there, and they start fighting it out. Cool fight scene. Back and forth, back and forth. Daryl gets upper hand when he takes Quinn and his head and bangs her right off the pole there on the handrail. Quinn goes down. Daryl gets on top with the knife, and sort of like what we saw before, he could end it, but then he glances over and he sees LeRon peeking and sees this. Now, I don't know how I feel about this, because on one hand, why put this scene and show that he could have ended the fight, but he chooses not to, knowing that this is going to bite him later. But then again, he is saving the boy from him. So just tell the boys, like, don't look, turn away or whatever, say something, and end this side character story. Because if anything, he's not really that needed. We already talked about Big Bad, right? And Big Bad now has the other woman who seems like she's got her own agenda and other things going on because of the ship and all that stuff. And that's why she wants the American. So there's other villains on this show. So one of them, or even if he was gray like Quinn is, he can go. Because then if he goes, then it puts more emphasis on his girlfriend. I could see her taking over and being the leader of that club thing and the soldiers, and have her own agenda. Because remember, she said it in the scene. She was like, hey, I told you about where to find the boy because of the whole thing. Because I thought you were going to make a good trade. And you did it. What's the story? So I figured this would be a good way to double cross. But no, it doesn't happen. He punches Quinn, knocks him out, tells LeRon, let's go. There's this weird pause where he looks down and sees it, like, oh, is he going to grab his leg? Or is he going to say, no, I'm going to stay with my father? But no, he leaves. He's like, all right, forget it. I just did that just to throw off the viewers. And off they go. So before we go any further, anything you guys want to say about this scene?
First and foremost, I believe that Quinn will get killed by the other big bad because, again, he lied to them about knowing where Laurent was at. So obviously, when they find out that information, he's a dead man. That's why Daryl didn't kill him, but he will get killed. I think we can see that coming from a mile away.
Well, how would they know? The only way they would know is if his girlfriend, the singer, if she double crosses him.
Well, because Daryl got away. Was Daryl not part of the deal that he did?
But they didn't know he was there. Remember, he said he was going to get him. But none of those that crew was there. They didn't see this happen.
Oh yeah, no. I know that, but I'm pretty sure there's a time limit on when they're supposed to do this deal. So if they show up and he's not there, game over. He has no bargaining power at that point.
So you're thinking that's when they go to kill him. And then that's when I'll jump in and I'll link to that and say that's when the cabaret singer says, yeah, he also had the boy too.
Yep. That's exactly what I see that coming. Yep. That makes sense to me.
He also had the boy. He lied to you, but I won't lie to you. It's like, all right, well, this place is under new management. They get rid of Quinn. And now it's up to the girlfriend. Carlos, anything you want to say about this scene?
No, I just feel like it's a little dicey how all of this is going to unfold. Like we mentioned when we were watching it, we're not sure how the hell or why the hell Isabelle feels compelled to go back to Quinn. Apparently, it's from what I understood, or the brief part that I understood, is for security for Laurent to get to the nest.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
But you know, the way that dynamic fits in with Quinn and all of that is going to be interesting. And as far as Quinn is concerned, yes, I do foresee Quinn getting killed by these people, because there needs to be that gray character who kind of turns good, and by turning good, they sacrifice themselves. Just like I said, the weird boyfriend dude for the other nun. He's gonna get shot, and what happened in this episode? He got shot.
Well, it looks like he survived. That was the thing. We're like, oh, is he gonna die? Because usually that's how it works, right? They die, but no. We'll just get into it now, right? They make it to the boat. We see them. They're hobbling there. He's alive. There we go. Everyone's there at this boat. They're all thrilled to see that Laurent is okay. Got Daryl, Isabelle, the second nun. They're all there. Yay! Let's get on a boat. Let's go sailing. No, it's not happening that way. Isabelle gives this weird reasoning of, I'm trying to still understand. It's like he was saying, oh, Quinn will always come after us because of me. So if I stay, then it'll solve the problem and you can help get Laurent to the nest. And there's a lot of issues here because you have the leader of the rebel group with the rest of them. He didn't die with his people. Why can't he do it? Why can't he go and do this? He has more of a connection. He's more invested in all of this because he cares about this kid's well-being, right? Because they see him as a chosen one. He's alive. He's there. I can understand if that dude died and all the other ones. I was like, hey, there's no one here. It's just the guy with the boat, my second nun, and her boyfriend who just got shot in the leg. He hobbled over here, and then us. So let me give you some buffer time. Let me go. No, he doesn't mention, well, hey, I just knocked him out. He's not getting up for a while. We can go. No, he doesn't say that. He didn't fill in the blanks with this. He just says, well, I guess. I mean, you sure you can't come with us? Like, oh, no, I'm going to do this. This will be great. It'll be fine. I know this isn't your fight. They do this whole thing. Again, trying to pull that emotion, but it's falling flat on my end. I don't, because it doesn't make sense. I don't see it. So what? They think that once she goes back, he's going to say, well, I don't have Daryl. I don't have my son. I got this other armed group. They're going to come looking for, but hey, I got you back. Oh, and meet my girlfriend. I don't think I introduced. Yes, this girl, the singer. She is my girlfriend. Oh, sorry. I should have brought that up. Maybe we could work something out. We could have a party or something.
Honey, sing something.
Yeah, that's what that it doesn't add up. That it all falls flat. Doesn't make sense because if anything, it would make more sense for him to just want the boy because that's who he was protecting.
I agree 100%. To me, this is why the episode was disappointing. It had a few issues, but this issue in particular, because the Isabelle character, I'm very confused on her motivations. I believe she said that she was a person of influence and she can have a positive influence on Quinn to try to convince him to be lenient with Laurent. But to me, it really in my opinion, it just delays the storyline because again, that's the equivalent of we need to rescue somebody. So we rescue somebody, but wait a second, I need to go back and confront the boss. It just extends the storyline out further because in reality, I don't think somebody's going to go back. When they escape, that means they're gone. They're not going to try to go back to negotiate none of the other stuff. They could have found a way out of there, regardless of how much power he has in terms of controlling people going in and out. They still could have found a way out of there without her having to go back. So I didn't understand that at all.
That doesn't, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. And they sort of, again, long pauses and just camera panning from both of them. It's like showing, like, are they going to embrace? Is there going to be some kind of emotion? Nothing. Daryl's only had one real love interest in the whole story arc of Walking Dead. Remember the girl that he lived with?
Two.
Who? Who? Don't tell me Carol. Don't go there.
Well,
And not even with the sister.
the dog lady.
That was
I
it.
forgot her name.
That was it. That's the only one.
Rick Grimes.
No,
that's
because even with Connie, they teased it with Connie, and it never materialized. They never went there with the Connie story. We thought they were going to go there. Remember, that was his big concern. Where is she? I gotta find her. I gotta see. Well, you did, and she wrote you a note how she felt, and you're like, oh, I'll give you a hug, and that's it. It didn't happen. So again, here we go. This gets brought up, and they're sort of hinting that there's something going on here, and maybe it will. But no, there was no embrace. There was none of that. I was like, all right. Then he gets on the boat, takes them around, and they go sailing. And then we see a little tour of France, of the waterways. You see the Eiffel Tower again. You see their own version of Statue of Liberty. It's just, all that stuff. It's like, all right, that's great. And that's it. They're en route to the nest. All right? That's it. So go ahead.
Let me just say real quickly. Obviously, that whole boat ride scenario, that is, I guess, a love letter to Paris, because I know I've seen a lot of movies where people take the nice scenic boat rides. But again, I'm going to say, where the hell is the security watching to make sure where's Daryl? Where's the boy at? Where's the girl at? This is why I say that's kind of like unrealistic that nobody would be watching when they're supposed to be on high alert to make sure that these people don't escape. So, but they said, forget about it. We'll address that the next time, I guess.
Especially it's the most scenic routes of the city.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, maybe they don't have the waterways covered. It's just the streets. Remember, we saw their vehicles. They were like, waterway. There's no boats here. Oh, the boats. Well, and that's it. So that's the episode, and we don't. I just don't get it. What I think is going to happen next is Isabelle's going to go back. The big bad and the woman, they're going to get involved. All the things are going to be horrible for Quinn. And it's going to put Isabelle in a bad spot because they were like, well, we don't need him. We need you because you know where Daryl is and the boy. So that's their whole thing. And they're going to have her lead them to the nest because she says she knows where the nest is. So they're going to do that, and maybe that's where we meet up. Or things fall apart back at Quinn's location, same thing. Somehow, some way, they find out. Daryl's group finds out, and Daryl says, you know what? Take the boy on the rest of the boat ride. I'm jumping off. I'm going to go back and save her. They're not done with that scene because it makes no sense. Then the story's over, right? This is it. If that's how this works, it's done because the big bad and the woman there, they don't know the nest. They don't know that location. So if they go sailing, they have the boat, they're going to make it there. I still don't know what to expect at that location. Is it like the Commonwealth? Or is there tons of people? We don't know. Do they have their own military force? This is why that group, when they find out, may not want to go there. I'm like, there's too much, it's going to be too hot for us. We can't handle that. But it's definitely going to end up badly for Quinn at this point. And that's the only thing I can't predict, right? It's definitely, I don't see any way he gets out of this. I don't see a relationship working out with her and Isabelle. She's not going to turn him into to be this really good guy. It's not going to happen. The girlfriend is definitely going to play some major part in all of this and causing more problems. So overall, I'll just give my verdict on this. It felt very reminiscent of a filler episode for some parts of it, from what we would come to expect from Walking Dead and stuff. And it was expected in this. It's, even though it's short, and I know people want story, progression. But this was a side story that sort of fell flat. At least the ending part did, because that doesn't make much sense. That make much sense. So hopefully, and it'll balance out and go back on track for episode 5 and 6. Because again, people, there's only 6 episodes this season, not a mid-season break or anything. There's it. 6. Yeah, I got approved in the second season, but that's way off. So we only have 2 more episodes. So overall, it was okay, but it's not on par with the previous 3 episodes, which were fantastic. The locations are great. The scenery was great. The cinematography was awesome. it's just storytelling that made more sense for me. So that's where I stand with that. Rich?
Definitely the weakest episode so far this season. So we'll see what happens. They only got 2 more episodes left, so they could rebound, but they definitely need to do a better job of explaining a lot of things. Because I think there's some definitive answers we should get by the time this season ends. They're not going to answer every question in the next 2 episodes, but there are some questions they definitely can answer. So let's see what happens from here on out.
Mm-hmm. Carlos?
I'm all in agreement with everyone. I feel like this is the weakest episode of the season. This is what, episode 4, so we got 2 more left. Hopefully it ends on a strong note. But yeah, it's a mess. The way that they're trying to interwoven all of these storylines together, it's a mess. So hopefully some of that gets fixed. And yeah, not a big fan of this one.
Yeah,
gotta be honest.
Here's a question I have for the viewers and listeners, and you can leave your comment over on our YouTube page. Do you think they're going to throw in some mystical elements with this boy when it does happen? Because at some point they have to show why he is so special. Are we going to see something? Are we going to see something reminiscent of like the last of us? He gets bit, nothing happens. They figured, hey, he cuts his blood and puts it in a jar. Like, this is it. This is what heals us all. This is what gets us going for the next generation. Or is it going to throw some mystical elements where he can sort of the walking, like a zombie whisperer type of thing, to pray them away? Does that come to pass? Because I think that was a dream that Daryl was just thinking. But what if that is how he does it? He just puts his hands up, does a prayer, and they just like disappear. Or disperse in a way. They're not going to just magically, but just like walk away. He protects them. I don't know. Or maybe when they get to the nest and they find out, no, yeah, you had this issue, pregnant, but we've had a bunch of those already here. You're not as special as you think you are. Well, he doesn't. He doesn't even think it's the other people around him, because they're all taking the word of the priest. I don't know. But the question I have is, do you think they're going to throw any mystical elements for this boy as we get closer toward the end of the season? So go ahead, leave your comments if you think they're going to go down that road. If not, then we'll see. We'll see. So I think that's it, right? We all said our piece on this. It wasn't the strongest of episodes, but you know what? It's all right, because we had 3 great ones. A lot of great one-liners here from Daryl throwing his little F-bombs here and there when it made sense. I love it. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to see where this goes. Hopefully they can square away all this stuff with Quinn. I don't see him lasting at least another episode. He has to die in the next one. I don't, unless he helps Isabelle escape and says, "Bring me with you. I love you." I don't want that. I don't think that'll pan out. And it doesn't seem like she wants that. She doesn't want to be with him. It looks like she'd rather be with Daryl, but Daryl is still in that zone of like, I just want to go back to America. I'm not looking for a European love adventure. No, where's the boat? Where's the bigger boat? Bigger boat to take me to America. That's all I care about. All right, people, thanks again for tuning in and watching us over on YouTube, or following us in the podcast over on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever else you're finding it. And we will be back for season 1, episode 5 of The Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon. Peace.